Hello friends, welcome to my new data structures and algorithm in Java tutorial series video. Friends, in this tutorial we will discuss how to insert node at the end of a doubly linked list in Java. So friends, suppose we are given a doubly linked list having 4 nodes, say 1, 10, 15 and 65. So usually in doubly linked list, head points to the first node and tail points to the last node. So if you want to insert a node at the end of doubly linked list, usually we do the manipulation with the tail pointer, and in that case head pointer doesn't play any much role. The only case in which head pointer comes into picture is when the list is empty. So if the list is empty, then head and tail both points to null. And after we insert a node at the end of doubly linked list, so the list contains only one node, therefore the head and tail both needs to point to that particular node. So here in this algorithm we need to cover that case when the list is empty. So when the list is empty, then head pointer comes into picture. So we'll see the demonstration of this algorithm in next slide. So friends, below is the algorithm to insert a node at the end of a doubly linked list. So let's see a demo of this algorithm step by step. So let's say currently the doubly linked list is empty. Therefore head and tail both will be pointing to null. And let's say we want to insert a list node into this doubly linked list having a value of 1. So in step 1 we'll first create a list node and we'll provide value to it. So here if you see, the new node will point to this list node having data as 1, and the pointers to next and previous node will point to null. Moving ahead, then we'll provide a if statement, and in this if we'll check whether the list is empty or not. So currently the list is empty because head and tail both are pointing to null. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be true and this if statement will be executed. So as we want to insert this new node at the end of a doubly linked list, and currently this doubly linked list is empty, therefore when we'll insert this new node, so this would be the only node in the doubly linked list, and we know that head points to the first node, so therefore we'll assign new node's value to head. So you will see that now head points to new node. Moving ahead, so as this doubly linked list currently has one node, and we also know that head points to the first node and tail points to the last node, but this doubly linked list has only one node, therefore head and tail will point to this node. So the last statement would be we need to assign new node's value to tail. So currently tail is pointing to null, and after this statement tail will point to this new node. So friends, after the insert of this list node at the end of the doubly linked list, we see head and tail both point to this node because this is the only node in the doubly linked list. Now let's say we want to insert one more node having the value as 10. So this algorithm will be executed again. So in order to do that, we need to first create a list node having the value as 10. So it would look something like this, that new node points to a list node having the data as 10 and the next and previous pointers pointing to null. Moving ahead, and in this if block we'll check whether this doubly linked list is empty or not. So if you see, head and tail points to this node having the data as 1, so list is not empty, therefore the condition in if block comes out to be false and the else part will be executed. So in order to insert this new node at the end of the doubly linked list, we know that doubly linked list has currently one node, and if we want to insert this new node, it would come just after this first node. Therefore in order to insert this new node into doubly linked list, first we need to point tail next pointer to this new node, and then we need to point new nodes previous to tail node, because the adjacent nodes in doubly linked list refer each other. So therefore in the first step what we do, we assign new node's value to tail next. So currently new node points to the node which we want to insert and tail dot next points to null. Therefore when we assign new node value to tail next, it would look something like this. So now tail node next will point to this new node. Moving ahead, and after this step we need to point new nodes previous to the tail node. So in this step we'll assign the value of tail to new nodes previous. So it would look something like this. So currently the adjacent nodes in doubly linked list are referring to each other, such that the first node is pointing to the node which we wanted to insert, and the node which we wanted to insert is referring it back. So moving ahead, so the final step is we need to assign new node's value to tail. So if you see in a doubly linked list, the head points to the first node and the tail points to the last node. So initially there was only one node, therefore head and tail pointed to the same node. But after the insertion of this new node, tail should point to this new node. So in order to do that, we need to assign new node's value to tail, and it would look something like this. So friends, this was the demonstration of inserting a list node at the end of doubly linked list. Now let's go to Eclipse and see the working code. So friends, in my previous tutorial, I had created this doubly linked list class, and in the last tutorial, we saw how to insert the node at the beginning of a doubly linked list. So in this tutorial, we will code how to insert a node at the end of a doubly linked list. So for this, first I will create a method, public void insert last, and this method will take an integer value. Now in the first step we'll create this new node based on the value we are passing to the method. And the first step will be we'll provide a if check that whether the list is empty or not. And if the list is empty, we need to assign new node value to the head. So friends, if the list is not empty, then we need to insert this new node at the end of doubly linked list. So we know that the tail points to the last node in the doubly linked list. So in order to insert this node, we need to use tail.next pointer, and to tail.next will assign value of new node. Therefore a tail node next will point to now new node, and similarly to new node previous we will assign the value of tail. So in the else part we are doing this because this new node and the tail will refer each other, and once they refer each other, the new node is a part of doubly linked list. And finally in the last step we'll reassign tail to point this new node. So it would be tail will now point to new node, and at the last we'll increment the length of doubly linked list by 1. So friend, this is the code for inserting a list node at the end of doubly linked list. So let's test this method in the main method. So here I have created one instance of doubly linked list class. Now let's say I insert say 1, and then I print the doubly linked list say in the forward direction, and if I run the program, so you will see as the initially the doubly linked list was empty, therefore when we inserted a new node, it by default became the first node and got inserted at the very beginning of doubly linked list. Now let's say if I insert value 10, now when I run this program, so when we'll print this doubly linked list, so this 10 should insert after the node having data as 1. So you see the 10 got inserted at the last position. So initially there was node having data as 1, but when we inserted 10, it got inserted at the end of doubly linked list. So friends, if suppose I insert one more node, say having value as 15, and if I now run the program, so you see the 15 got inserted at the end of doubly linked list. So initially there was node having data as 1, then we inserted 10 and then we inserted 15. So friends, this was a tutorial to demonstrate how to insert a list node at the end of doubly linked list. I hope you like this video. Please like, comment, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks, have a nice day.